was this experience that you had?
So probably about 1990. I teamed up with some friends and they were doing a bit of hiking. And they invited me along to a hike, which they did warn me was a pretty difficult hike. Anyway, it was a really difficult hike down to where we went. We got down there, that's no problem, and we set up camp and we had dinner and went to bed. I got up early morning. It was summer, probably 5. The sun was just coming up and I wandered out for a pee. While I was having a pee, I looked up. Well, I could hear rocks falling. And I thought it was a goat. There's a lot of feral goats through there. I looked up and there was this creature crouching down on a rock ledge. At the time, I really didn't believe my eyes because it was early morning. I was still not really awake. But the sun was shining right there. I stood up and I took a couple of steps towards it and it was still there and it sort of stood up and looked down at me. Anyway, I looked down at something, it was a goanna, that's right. And when I looked back up, it was nearly a second. It was gone. And that was what puzzled me more than anything because even if it was a goat, where the hell did it go? Because it was down off the top on a ledge on the edge. It had nowhere to go. But then back in 2008, I was doing an environmental course at the Golden Cave. We did an excursion to the South Marulan mine, which is just around the ledge from there, really. And we stopped at Long Point on the way back because I said to them, I saw a yowie down there one day. And they went, really? So down we went. And I said to them, he was, down there on that ledge over there. And they went, you sure that's what, like they do? And I said, yeah, it was a yowie, I saw it. Anyway, when we went back to the South Marulan mine, the bloke who worked there took me around to it so I could get really close. And I looked across and there was a little cave right where he was standing. So I'm thinking he must have gone down into the cave.
So the location where you saw this thing, is it hard to get to as a long haul in, like a long hike?
It took us the day. It was pretty isolated. Yeah, see, from here to Winslow and Penrose, we would have gone down via the South Marulan mine, which is very isolated.
Close to the South Marulan mine?
Yeah.
As you look up at this thing, how far away from you?
We swam across the river and it wasn't that big, probably about 25 metres across.
This was on a ledge that was up quite high?
It was up high and it was an escarpment type ledge and he was down probably 50 metres from the top of it.
And he was what, on a ledge?
Yeah, a shelf.
Quite obviously visible?
No, not unless someone was on it.
Describe this thing in as much detail as you can. You're looking at it for a while. Just describe what it looked like.
It was a reddy brown. That was the other thing, because the rock ledges there are a sandstony colour with reddy tinges through it. So he did blend quite well. It wasn't really till he moved a bit that I realised that, yes, something was there.
When you first saw it, it was crouching or kneeling or?
Sideways crouching.
And then it stood up?
Yep. When he stood up, he wasn't built like a footballer. He was built more like an AFL player. Athletic, not muscly, you know what I mean? He would have been strong, but he wasn't bulky. And hairy. I don't know 100%, but I didn't see long hair, but his face did have fur on it. I don't think it was very furry. It would have been more like a goat fur, like a goat and a sheep has. It wasn't really, really furry, but it wasn't a normal face.
When you say not normal, what do you mean?
He didn't have a neck. I think it was squashed. More squashed. Like his nose was squashed, his cheekbones were flat. Everything was flatter. I didn't see ears, but I think the hair was longer around the backs of his arms.
Did you see arms and legs?
Yes. They were muscular, like an athlete. You know, they weren't bulky. You know, you would expect something like that to be built like a gorilla, but he wasn't built like a gorilla. He was quite upright. He was hunched a bit at the top, but apart from everything else, he was quite upright. Now I think back, and I've looked into it a bit, because the last year I've gone back to it thinking, just more to this. I think he may have been throwing stones. He may have been picking stones up.
You mean when you heard the sound of the stones falling?
I think maybe he was throwing stones, because when I thought about it more, I think that may have been why he was crouched down.
When you saw this thing standing up, did you get a feeling you could tell how tall it was?
It looked tall, athletic, but that's as far as it went.
Did you think it was as tall as you?
Oh, way taller than me. Way taller than my friend Kevin, who was a good 6'3". No, I couldn't really, not from down underneath, although its legs looked quite long and its arms were very long.
So it had very long arms?
Very long arms.
Was there anything else you noticed on this thing that struck you when you were looking at it?
Just the lovely thigh muscles. You know, the colour. He blended so well.
So this was a dark brown colour?
Orangey brown. He blended into the sandstone quite well.
Now, after you saw this thing, did you tell anybody at the camp?
It wasn't until I got home and I said to Mum, I think I saw a Yowie. And she said, well, that would be quite possible. So, because she grew up in Kyle Bay in the 30s and they had Yowies down there, so she believed me.
Have you ever had any other unusual experiences yourself?
We've seen a large cat in the district. My hubby and I saw it one night coming back from Windalama fireworks. And the people up the road in the nursery have had it come through their farm. Well, now we think it was probably the big cat that everyone else is seeing around here. We were only new to the area at the time. And I remember we stopped, it was in the headlights, and we looked at each other and said, what the was that? It walked in front of us, really close to the bonnet, looked in at us, and walked off. And it wasn't at all scared. It had, the really big, broad head with a very distinct, bit down the centre. It was a big creature. It looked over the bonnet at us.